Dissociative time slips. When your mind skips through reality. You glance at the clock and it reads 2 p.m., a blink, a breath, and somehow it's evening. Your coffee is cold, the sun's angle has shifted, time has vanished. You don't feel tired, you weren't asleep. And yet hours are missing, not hazy, not fuzzy, gone. This is not forgetfulness, it's not zoning out. This is something deeper, a rupture in the fabric of consciousness itself. This is a dissociative time slip. And it happens more often than we realize. For some, it's an occasional glitch. For others, it's a chronic vanishing. Reality quietly rewinding, fast-forwarding, or skipping entire chapters of experience. The brain, usually a meticulous archivist of sensation and time, goes silent. No warnings, no transitions, only a blank. Consider Anna, a graphic designer. She sat at her desk, opened her email at 2 p.m., then blinked. The next thing she knew, it was 5:40. No memory of movement, no awareness of the passage, no sensation of time at all, just a void, like she had teleported across her own life. These aren't daydreams or moments of distraction. They're gaps in conscious experience, on episodes where the self remains outwardly functioning, but internally absent. It's as if the mind decided to step out for a while without asking permission. Why does this happen? Psychologists believe dissociation is a defense mechanism, a circuit breaker for the brain. When emotions overload the system through trauma, stress, or even boredom, the mind pulls away. Not completely, just enough to protect the self from something it can't process. The hippocampus, the region that encodes memory, stutters. Events pass through your senses, but are never recorded, like a camera with the shutter stuck open. Light comes in, but nothing is saved, and then you're back. The file is blank. You're left holding the aftermath. Some experience this while driving. Mark, a long-haul trucker, once blinked somewhere between Ohio and Michigan. He remembered leaving. He remembered arriving. But 7 hours gone. No towns, no exits, no songs on the radio, just a seamless black. And the terrifying part? He never stopped driving. These aren't out-of-body experiences. You aren't floating above. You're still moving, still talking, still living. But later it feels like it was someone else, or no one at all. And that raises a question. If you can't remember an experience, did you really live it? What is identity if it can slip through time without you? What is consciousness if it can clock out and still leave your body behind? These moments aren't always tied to trauma. Sometimes they emerge from the subtleties, prolonged stress, emotional numbness, sensory overload, or simply exhaustion. 1,000 tiny burdens finally tipping the balance. The body moves through the world, but the mind drifts sideways into some non-time, some nowhere. Some describe these slips as eerily peaceful. Others feel haunted, disoriented, unanchored. And some terrified, because how can you trust your own mind when it can erase entire spans of your life without your consent? Worse still, some begin to question their sanity. But these episodes aren't madness. They're messages, signals that something deeper is calling for attention. Your mind is saying, you need rest, you need space, you need repair. So what can you do? First, know this: you're not alone. Millions experience dissociation in silence, afraid to speak it aloud, afraid to seem broken, But this isn't a flaw, it's your brain trying to survive. Second, ask gently, how have you been feeling, really? Are you overwhelmed? Have you been ignoring sadness, fatigue, fear? And third, slow down. Start a practice of presence, breathing, journaling, speaking aloud your truth, anchoring yourself with ritual, with stillness, with softness. Sometimes the way back into yourself is not through fighting the silence, but by listening to it. Because every vanished hour, every gap in the timeline may be a breadcrumb from your unconscious, pointing toward what has long been buried. Dissociative time slips. Remind us that consciousness is not constant. It's a fragile thread, and sometimes it frays, but what gets lost can also be found. And by learning to listen, not to the noise, but to the absence, we may begin to recover not just forgotten hours, but forgotten parts of ourselves.